R Vaidyanathan is professor at IIM Bangalore, Rahul Narwekar of the NCP, Ashutosh of the Aam Aadmi Party and Sambit Patra of the BJP. Professor Vaidyanathan, how do you view this?
I simply can't believe it. I know that our institutions are getting incapacitated or decapacitated. But even if 50% of what you say is true, that means the CBI director has been extremely brazen. Maybe tomorrow or day after he would either quit or the government has to ask him to go. But Arnab, you know also the Byzantine gullies of Delhi, how they operate. I am very puzzled. Why would these people meet under their own name and using the car of the respective companies? That's something very, very intriguing, unless one believes that a situation has arisen where people don't care anymore about any type of institutional propriety.
In the case of one of these meetings, and I'm not jumping to conclusions, but questions must be asked. In the case of one of these meetings, which is the meeting of the Haryana Chief Minister, for example, we got a confirmation that the meeting happened and that the meeting was allegedly to invite the CBI chief for a tennis match in which Boris Becker was featuring or something like that in Haryana. Now, I find it also strange that a Haryana Chief Minister would drive to the CBI chief's residence to personally hand deliver an invitation for a tennis match. I mean, it's a limit, it's beyond the limits of courtesy. But I find it strange such a meeting would happen. But the fact that it was confirmed that there was a meeting then raises the question that all meetings probably which have been talked about in this diary may not be true. I mean, we have to leave that option open as well, don't we, Ashutosh?
No, yes, Arnab, the simple point is that neither I am surprised nor I am shocked for a simple reason, because we all knew this is happening. What about talking about the CBI director? Every top babu in this country to the lowest one, everybody, barring a few exceptions, are indulging into big-time corruption. This is the CBI which has lost all its credibility. The Supreme Court has said they behave like a parrot. So whatever is coming out, it might be shocking for many people, but you and me who had been in the profession long enough to know that every CBI director is appointed because that CBI director should suit to the likings of the establishment at that point of time.
Yeah.
Because there are the cases. You see that UPA 2, the UPA 2 and UPA 1 survived because there was a CBI director who was liking to do good things for the government.
Yeah.
Be it Mulayam Singh Yadav, be Mayawati, how many times the CBI had changed its tone in the court of law. So I'm not surprised, and neither I'm shocked. Only good thing is that finally it has come to the light. People are seeing by their own eyes. But please don't get surprised. This is a routine in this country. Be CBI or go to any government department, the limit of corruption is crossing all limits.
Sambit Patra, had these questions been raised about a Congress person, you would have probably been more vocal, right?
No, Arnab, it's not that we are not vocal, but Arnab, the issue is, the whole matter is sub judice. In fact, when Prashant Bhushan ji brought it in front of the court said, Prashant Bhushan, that please supply all the evidence in a sealed envelope. We will look into it and we'll give a verdict on Thursday. So I believe any government, our government or the previous government, would have definitely waited for the court verdict. We cannot preempt something which is already sub judice in the court. And right. Can I read out what the bench said today? The bench today said it is against the procedure to make any comment against any person at this stage.
Right.
So even the court is refraining from sentencing any charge. Oh, no. So who are we as government or as a party to charge someone? But yes, so it may be shocking what we are seeing, and in fact these issues should be discussed.
I thought it was Mr. Modi, if I am not mistaken, who on the campaign trail raised questions about this Moin Qureshi.
Yes.
So you forgot that?
Moin Qureshi.
Today on Moin Qureshi, you don't want to talk when people are saying that this man probably had meetings many times in a few months. I mean, I'm not vouching, and I'm saying this, I'm not vouching for the authenticity of the diaries. That is something which the Supreme Court, as you rightly said, will determine. But the fact remains that this material is to be handed over to the Supreme Court, and therefore, in doing so, doesn't it become part of the investigation? Shouldn't we therefore question the content of the diaries? We are not declaring them authentic or inauthentic, but they raise some questions. No, and we place those questions before you.
No, definitely, Arnab, some questions have come up, and the diary has in fact been handed over to the Supreme Court in a sealed envelope. The court is looking after it. As far as Moim Qureshi is concerned, our stand has not changed. The country is aware of the fact that tapes, the 500 recordings of Moim Qureshi, in which the line gradually grows towards 10 Janpat, as to how Moim Qureshi was close to ministers and a particular person who was close to 10 Janpat is known to everyone. If Darda was visiting the CBI director, then naturally the Congress is the one who should have answered, and today ironically we don't.
But how do the car numbers match?
Here to answer that.
My question is to Rahul Narwekar. How do the car numbers match with the names of the people visited or the companies they represented or owned? Which is why I began by giving two options. If these diary entries are false, then they are a work of art. But if they are true, then they raise some fairly serious questions.
Well, Arnab, at the outset, let me tell you that if a matter is sub judice and if it's under investigation, and especially if it's before the apex court of this country, I would not indulge in casting aspersions on any individual or any organization or entity.
Neither are we.
Having said that,
I
further would like to say that Caesar's wife should be above suspicion, and the CBI director definitely should have taken due care of selecting the kind of people whom he should have met. One. Number two is I am not very surprised with the double standards of the Bharatiya Janata Party.
Why?
Because I just remember a couple of months back, the Bharatiya Janata Party, on the guise of a supposed candidate who was supposed to be appointed as a Supreme Court judge, they gave the reasoning that he has met someone who was involved in a case while he was occupying a constitutional post. I mean, we know what kind of excuses were given by the Bharatiya Janata Party and by this government when the appointment of Mr. Gopal Subramaniam was questioned. So in that case, they had a different principle and a different standard. But today, Mr. Patra says that we'll look into it. If at all something comes across, we'll consider it. Why didn't they apply the same principles during the appointment of Mr. Subramaniam? So we've seen these double standards.
That's a fairly straight counter to you, Mr. Patra.
They should not grandstand
over here to take on Mr. Narwekar on technicality.
They should not grandstand. They should not grandstand.
Mr. Narwekar, you began your statement by saying that
their principles and their morality has been a subject of public domain.
Also agreed
people
to
have
it,
seen it at large,
even
and
I
therefore I would request you not to fool the people of this country any further, because they are certainly not getting fooled by this.
No, Arnab, I asked Narwekar, Mr. Rahul, as to how he expects the Bharatiya Janata Party to go against the Supreme Court's dictum. I mean, in fact, you yourself agreed on the debate right now, saying that yes, neither will I contest what the Supreme Court is saying. We don't have double standards. Our standards are all set. The whole issue is sub judice. The Supreme Court will be coming up with the verdict on Thursday itself. Let us wait for a day. Let us see as to what the court has to say. The court will speak the truth. I believe you agree to this fact.
Mr. Sambit Patra, you are either seriously ignorant about the facts or you are pretending to be ignorant. Either ways, you've been exposed today.
No, please don't do that.
With regard to your position on the appointment of Supreme Court judges, the nation has seen your reasoning. We are seeing your reasoning today as well. So these double standards have been exposed totally.
Supreme Court has not said as yet. How can you have double standards today? You want to support the Supreme Court as well as demean its verdict.
Mr. Patra, the Supreme Court had not accepted the Supreme Court had not accepted the collegium, then had not accepted your reasoning. You still stood by it, didn't you? Didn't you?
So what do you want to say? You want to say that even if the Supreme Court has not come out with a verdict on Mr. Sinha, we should fire him?
All I'm suggesting...
Why are you suggesting something which is not within the ambit of law? Please don't suggest that.
Is exposing your double standards.
No, that reputation.
Rahul, don't speak something which is not within the ambit of law. Law does not allow you to speak this. It's on the benches of the court. Let the court decide.
I am telling you and your party not to grandstand on issues of morality, because you've lost that chance long time back.
Not at all, not at all. Rahul, ironically, a few days ago, you were protecting the Bharatiya Janata Party and the Shiv Sena. Today, you stand with the Congress saying that we are grandstanding.
Coming in.
No, this is not the way. We are not grandstanding. Something is in court.
Don't you have any other defense? I mean, I have my sympathies for you.
We are not defending anyone,
no other defense
Arnab.
looks like. And I have got a befitting reply for that as well. I have a befitting reply for that as well.
You know that. It is on neutral grounds since it is in court. Be it the Colgate issue or be it the 2G issue. The court is discussing on it. We are on neutral grounds. Why should we be either grandstanding or why should we...
Mr. Patra, what I find... Mr. Patra, don't mind it. Actually, Ashutosh wants to come in. No, you know why I have been quiet for the last 5 minutes? Which I must admit, you know, at my own risk, that is not something I usually do on the news. I've been observing you, Mr. Patra.
This is true.
I've been observing
the longest spell of silence by Arnab.
Thank you very much. No, you haven't silenced me. That will take some time.
No one has.
But I have been observing. See, while I don't want to conclude about what Mr. Ranjit Sinha did or did not do, and I'm repeating this ad nauseum, I'm saying, if he did, it's very bad. If he didn't do, we are relieved. But I have been observing your body language, Mr. Patra. It's so different from what it was 6 months back. There's no outrage, there's no worry, it's defensive, careful.
Because I have faith in the court of this country.
There are no questions. Today, if someone were to raise basic questions of conflict of interest, no, Mr. Patra, your conviction is lacking. Today in debate number 1, first of all, in debate number 1, we ask you, you overturned what Arun Jaitley said about not appointing people, High Court and Supreme Court judges as governors. Then you say, no, don't ask us about that again. You're looking bad on that. On this issue, there is no conviction today. And all of this, if it were to happen, all the meetings allegedly happened in the UPA period.
Are you suggesting that?
If the meetings happened, they happened in the UPA period. Why are you nervous?
So even you are adding a if. Even you are adding a if.
And Mr. Qureshi's name was uttered by Mr. Modi during the campaign.
Yes, and I told Mr. Qureshi leads the doorways, the pathway leads to the doorway of 10 Janpath. Nowhere else. You should have had Sanjay Jha answering all that. Why
is it true? Is it true that there are issues regarding conflict of interest also? Is it true that it has been revealed in media reports that Qureshi's daughter received event contracts from 2 CBI directors in the past? What happened, Mr. Patra?
No, I didn't get your question. Can you please
won't
repeat?
Get my
some problem with the
today.
sound.
Ashutosh,
some problem with the sound.
Ashutosh, while we wait for what the CBI does in this case, because it's very detailed. You see, a lot of material is now beginning to come out. Ashutosh, I think you wanted to add something to Sambit.
See, Arnab, you have been asking that why Patra is today very defensive for the simple reason because Patra has to do the dirty job of defending a government. Dirty job of defending a government which is undefensible. How can you appoint a Chief Justice? Just 3 months back he was a Chief Justice and now you are not talking about the propriety, you are talking about something else.
Ashutosh,
so this question of Ranjit Sinha is not surprising at all. It's not surprising at all. I just want to remind you that this is not an ordinary case. In the 2G case,
you see that there is no salvo to be fired in the CBI debate,
where the papers were taken and asked by the Law Minister, the file has gone to the Law Minister and to the PMO, and the Law Minister had to resign. So there's a wheel within wheels and wheel within wheels. So neither BJP nor the Congress, they are same. And forget about, let's not only talk about the Moin Qureshi. Let's also talk about Mr. Reliance, who was a main accused in the 2G case. So let's not just only talk about Moin Qureshi. There are other people also. And that's one reason the BJP is today defensive. Because it is the
why should
same
BJP
company
be
which has been
defensive, Mr.
helping them out
Ashutosh?
as
What
it was in the
what has
media
the BJP to
during
do
the
with all
campaign.
this? Neither Dada
That's
nor
why
no one
the
is a man whom should we be trying to protect. Ranjit Sinha was appointed by the previous dispensation. Why should we be trying to protect him?
I'll also request you.
Are you trying to say that the government of the land should take over the Supreme Court? Is this what the Aam Aadmi Party is suggesting? Mr. Ashutosh, come clearly on this. Are you suggesting that the BJP should take over the Supreme Court? Is this what you mean to say? Please formulate your thoughts clearly.
No, Mr. Patra, please have some manners.
We should speak against
Please
the Supreme
have
Court.
some manners. I have to teach you manners to the BJP guys. They do not know how to speak. When you are talking, I didn't interrupt. Now when I am talking, you are interrupting. Is it manners?
The nation.
That's how the BJP has taught you.
Issues to the table.
That's how the BJP has taught you.
I put issues to the table.
Have some manners.
Don't misguide the nation.
No, who's misguiding whom? In fact, if I were to
not misguiding the nation. When you were speaking, I didn't speak. Please have patience, sir.
Ranjit,
I'm asking you to have patience.
Ironically, they have no.
Why the BJP is losing patience?
I say this.
You are so intolerant.
Why should BJP lose anything? What has BJP to do in this? Congressmen were meeting the CBI.
So please have patience. Listen to others.
The things
please
are in
listen
the
to others. Don't interrupt.
Let the Supreme Court decide.
Mr. Sambit Patra.
Whatever the Supreme
Don't
Court
interrupt
says,
Sambit Patra.
we will follow whatever the Supreme Court says. Do you mean to say that we should not follow Supreme Court? We should not wait for the judgment of Supreme Court? Is this what the Aam Aadmi Party implies, Mr. Ashutosh?
No.
When did you
Sambit Patra, I'm just requesting you that when you were speaking, I didn't interrupt.
Rahul,
so please have some patience. Don't interrupt me when I'm speaking. I'm raising a simple question. You have a right to take your position. I have a right to take my position. But please don't be intolerant. Listen to others' ideas also.
These are very serious matters. What Sambit Patra is not realizing is, that there were messages accessed by the media, Rahul Narwekar, you may know, from Qureshi to a former CBI director when he was CBI director. And what only makes these messages suspicious is that they dealt with some ongoing cases. So in the light of those details, Qureshi's association with anyone is going to raise questions. Don't you know this, Mr. Patra? Don't you know that in May this year, Ranjit Sinha wrote to the CBDT asking them to hand over all details of Qureshi's alleged tax evasion details to the CBI? And in June this year, your government, when it came in, the CBDT refused to share the details with the CBI. This is the backdrop. Have you forgotten it? No, Arnab. So, Mr. Patra, maybe you are not aware of the details.
Arnab, this is a matter in which the Supreme Court is into it. Supreme Court is looking after the whole issue. Is the Times now, are you suggesting that the government should overrule the Supreme Court? Are you suggesting something of that kind?
No,
are you suggesting something of overruling the Supreme Court?
No,
let the Supreme Court come out with a judgment.
I am only suggesting
if they say remove a person, the government will comply by it. If the court finds no merit to the case, the government will comply by it.
I am saying repeatedly that the Supreme Court decide, my dear Mr. Patra.
So why are you questioning me? Wait for the decision of Supreme Court, Baba.
All I am saying tonight is that all that sound and fury and anger and conviction and consternation.
So what am I supposed to do? Am I supposed to go and have a dharna in front of Supreme Court? Am I supposed to hold a dharna in front of Supreme Court as Aam Aadmi Party?
Mr. Patra.
We cannot do that. It is a prerogative of Aam Aadmi Party only. They can have dharnas in front of Supreme Court.
Okay, Rahul Narwekar is coming in. I'm going to go back to the professor who's been quiet for a long time. Yes.
Now, Arnab, all I want to tell you is that there's no point holding the Bharatiya Janata Party or this government accountable. They failed on every promise. Within 100 days, they were supposed to bring back all the black money which had gone out of this country. 100 days have passed, but we've not seen a single rupee coming in. So these are all tall promises
debate, you rush to 100 days.
Which we should take with a pinch of salt.
When you find no merit in this particular debate, you rush to 100 days now.
No, the question is, no, 100 days, my last question is...
I'm just telling you that all the points you're making today are also exactly what your party has been doing for the last 100 days.
Professor Vaidyanathan...
We have won the confidence round.
Professor Vaidyanathan, you see, one of the reasons
And you've lost it within 100 days. You won and lost it within 100 days.
Rahul, do be wary about the party that you are in right now and the Congress. BJP will look after it. It will look after it well. We are doing well. 80% of people feel that we are doing well. Please.
BJP. The problem is BJP is only looking after itself. It's not looking after the nation. That's the problem.
Well, no. The nation knows what BJP is looking after. You look after your party.
No,
please.
as of this minute,
that needs some amount of cajoling.
As of this minute, the groups concerned, the corporate group ADAG has not given an official response. Mr. Mahendra Nahata has not given a response. We have not got a response from Mr. Vijay Darda. Our reporters tried to contact him as well because his son's name, Devendra Darda's name, came in that report. We've not heard from them. So I am not going to say whether they are right or wrong, whether they met, did not meet. However, the simple question is this, Professor Vaidyanathan, from a top-down perspective. As you rightly said at the start, if these things happen, they're extremely brazen, they're unacceptable and they're shocking. But I don't know those Byzantine allies that you spoke about, sir, at the start. But whatever it is, even the possible suggestion that there were these meetings or weren't these meetings, I'm sure you'll agree with me, Professor Vaidyanathan, that simply saying, no, let's not talk about it is no answer. We need to look into this in detail. We need to find out whether it happened, and maybe all those whose names are there or not, they should subject themselves to some amount of public questioning on the matter. Because you know how diary entries are. You know what happened to the Jain Hawala diaries.
Yes.
These diary entries sometimes, you can't authenticate with which ink they were written on what date, with what time, and do carbon-12 dating on them and then say these diary entries are correct. So that's one way of looking at it, but
Arnab,
people are concerned.
Arnab, first observation is, you are telling you are not aware of these Byzantine allies. I don't agree with that. I am sure you have been in and out and thoroughly enjoyed all those allies.
No, I have not, sir. No, I have not, and I like to keep away from them.
Yeah, that's okay.
No, one second, let me say that to you. I have not right? And I take serious objection as a journalist to your observation that I am sure that you have thoroughly enjoyed them. As a journalist, I believe it is not my job to mingle with those in power. You can say that to some other journalists, sir. I would request you not to make that observation.
No, it is not.
So I don't enjoy.
It is not mingling.
No, I don't enjoy walking those streets.
No, it is
Thank you very much.
understanding the Byzantine allies.
No, that's all right. I don't know. Maybe you do.
The Byzantine allies.
Yeah.
No, my point is slightly different, Arnab. Assuming the caged parrot, as it was correctly called by the Supreme Court, did meet these people, assuming for the time being. Now, I am sure you don't require these diaries and registers to know this. Maybe we require it, but I am sure there are agencies in the government which would be observing. My point is twofold. Was he ever pulled up, assuming these entries are true, was he ever pulled up by DPOT and the corresponding, what one can call the seniors of CBI, that what he is doing is improper? One. Second is, according to what little I understand, post May 26 till April 25th, August 25th, he has been continuously meeting.
Allegedly.
This is something very interesting. Allegedly. Now, I am sure there are other agencies which are, which will be following what is being done by CBI Director and vice versa.
Yeah.
So, what type of an action has been initiated?
Right.
If what is suggested in the, it's not, they don't require diaries. I am sure they know who is going where and who is meeting whom. What is pulled up?
Sir.
This is something important which we should also focus.
Sir.
Yeah.
Lot of things have happened in those alleys when there was no action taken. When things came up in the media, they gathered steam. When public pressure built up, questions were raised, it went to the judiciary. And I say tonight, Diarygate or whatever we call it, it's fairly a serious issue. And the question once again emerges, that of propriety. Serious. And I hope there is going to be a response in terms of equal propriety to the seriousness of the issue. Putting these matters under a lid, sir, is not a solution anymore. I thank you all for that chat. Sambit Patra, don't take it otherwise. We just were observing your responses. But that is sometimes, with great power comes great responsibility, as that old adage went.
But
and we
Arnab,
watch
the whole thing is in the Congress's court. Why should the Sambit Patra be answering all this?
No.
We cannot hold a dharna in front of Supreme Court. Let me make that extremely clear.
Sambit Patra, before you sound more like what Sanjay Jha used to, I'm going to wrap up this debate tonight. Thank you very much.
Patra,
thank you very much for joining me on debate.
You know that Sambit Patra will not listen to you because somebody big enough is watching him and he has to prove his credentials.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me on the Newshour tonight. Thank you.
Yeah.